Why do you look excited?
I'm not that excited.
Please have your key card ready in your hand so we can check on you, okay? Thank you so much.
Well, to say that the return to the in-person safety meeting kind of sucks would be an understatement. And I do not want to understate it. I had the pleasure of returning to the in-person safety briefing on this very cruise just a few days ago, and well, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad to the point where I thought there was going to be a dude getting kicked off a cruise ship for freaking out. Yeah, let me tell you about this cruise embarkation day pain. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony B, here with a story time, a cruise story time for your face. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the return to the safety briefing on the NCL Breakaway. I told you guys last week in a news story that it was happening, and well, it certainly happened to me, and it happened to everybody. Everybody had to do it. And real quickly, just to contextualize what you saw at the beginning of the show, the gentleman there with me at the safety briefing is my neighbor Mike. He is also a YouTuber. He has a YouTube channel called The Naughty Cruiser, and he's a gambler. He's a saucy, he's a thirst trap TikTok maker, and you're going to see a lot of cool stuff over on the Naughty Cruiser, so I would recommend it. And he was my safety briefing partner. One of the new processes is they've implemented a buddy system for the new safety briefing. You have to show up at the muster drill with a partner. If you do not show up with a partner, they're going to turn you away. The solos have to buddy up with somebody, and if there's an odd number of solo passengers, then they have to ask a crew member if they'll be their buddy for the safety briefing. None of that's true, okay? I'm sorry. I hope you're not taking notes. None of that's true. I just thought it would be funny if you had to have a safety buddy. But the way it worked here on embarkation day was around 3:15 p.m. we started hearing announcements that we needed to make our way to our muster station. Now, my muster station was located at B3. B3, that is right in front of the bar at Oceans, and that is on deck 7, one level above the main atrium. And when I arrived there about 3:20, there was already a lot of people there in anticipation of the safety drill. I presented my card, I was checked off, and then I was told to stand with all of the other people. Now all the chairs and everything were already taken, so I pushed my way into an area where I could stand and receive instruction about what to do in case of an emergency. And while the safety information that was promised, it was not quickly given out. We stood there from around 3:25 to 3:50 before the safety briefing began. But the interesting thing was, while the safety briefing wasn't going on, they wanted you to stand in complete silence without any usage of your mobile devices and behave. Look, I'm pretty anti-authoritarian. I respect the fact that we need to do the safety drill, but I do not like to be shushed. I do not like to be yelled at. I do not like to be told what to do. And while none of these things happened to me directly to my face, there was a series of announcements over the loudspeaker that while we were waiting in the muster process, that everybody needed to be silent. Silence, everybody. And it was chaotic, to say the least. And I'm serious about this one, the confusion on this one. Any safety coordinators out there, why during the time where they're just scanning cards, where it's still 20 minutes before they're actually going to do any kind of safety presentation, why are they looking for complete silence? I think it's a little bit ridiculous to all of a sudden abruptly stop what everybody is doing and then ask you to stand there silently for 20 minutes before they give you the presentation. Now, obviously you shouldn't run around, act like a fool, that kind of thing, but man, to shush people just having casual conversation away from where the safety scanners were, again, it could be my anti-authoritarian streak flaring up in me, but I didn't love it. I didn't love it at all. Look, I survived it. I didn't freak out, but I do want to tell you about the guy that did freak out. Probably about 25 minutes into this process, we were piled pretty tightly with a lot of people. It was getting hot in there, certainly not as hot as if we had to stand out on the deck, right? That's a silver lining. But there was a lot of people piled on top of each other, and it was hot, and then people's tensions were getting high the longer that we were being shushed and the longer that we were waiting for this thing to commence. And well, some guy just popped out of line and went right into the face of one of the poor people that were just like scanning the cards. You know, the problem is a lot of times people pop off at the wrong person. Look, if you're going to pop off and make some sort of threat, you got to find an officer. You got to find somebody with some pull. You can't just pop off at the person that can't do anything for you. But that's what happened. So you got the person holding the scanner there, the person that scans the card. This guy comes out of the crowd and he says, "Look, I've been standing here for 20 minutes and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm about to pass out, and if you don't start this safety briefing right now, I'm just going to walk off." Pretty serious threat. And again, it's funny when you see somebody make a threat to somebody who can't do anything about it. And then, of course, if he would have walked off, they would have probably just walked him off of the cruise ship. And so I felt like I needed to step in. And so what I did is I let him go ahead and, you know, yell at the person that couldn't do anything. And then I said, Sir, could you do me a favor and could you quit freaking out until I can get my camera ready? I wish I had my camera ready. I did not say that. That's what was going on in my mind. The problem with being a YouTuber, you know that there's virality, right? Things are going to go viral, people freaking out, and I never seem to have my phone ready. If you're ever around me and you feel like you're going to pop off or freak out, could you just tap me on the shoulder and say, "Get that camera rolling, Big Tony B"? I think it's also worth mentioning, I love the look that the safety person gave this dude who was freaking out. The look on the crew member's face that was holding the scanner. That dude looked at the guy complaining like, "You know what, I don't care at all. There is nothing that you are going to be able to do to get you out of it." I feel like if I was in a customer service position, and look, I've been in some customer service positions before, I'm not saying that you take glee in the misery of others, or that you take glee in the misery of miserable people, but there could have been some glee, maybe. Maybe, you know, as a, ex-service customer service person working with the public, I might have seen a glint of glee in his eyes. It's like, oh, okay, you know, because all the guy did was pop off and basically had to, you know, slink back into line and wait it out with the rest of us. But yeah, the glint of glee. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen the glint of glee in someone's eyes when you're complaining and you know that nothing's gonna happen? The second thing that I said to the guy, other than "Could you wait to freak out when I had my camera on," is like, "Look, sir, I'm gonna talk about you, and if you'd like to stay up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on, and then that way you won't miss me talking about you freaking out." And so I would encourage everybody else to do that also. And he looked at me weirdly, like I was asking for something odd. Here's the conversation that my friend Mike and I had after this. The question becomes, would you become a one-issue cruiser? It sucked. It did. It was like a whole hour of not feeling good, getting yelled at, trying to get to the muster, trying to get to your cabin after the muster, being in a crowd of people, and certainly 1 hour out of a hundreds of hours worth of cruising this week, not enough really to dissuade you. But in that one moment, I said to myself, maybe when I'm booking my next cruise, if I have the choice between a cruise line that has in-person muster and a cruise line that still uses the e-muster, I might be inclined to choose the cruise line that has the e-muster. Thanks for checking out the story time today. If you liked it, hit the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.